Chains rattle broken, now we rise. Flag in my hand starts burning the skies. Truth ain't dead, though the liars try. They scream loud, but the words all die. Guys watching hands, raise to the throne. Freedom ain't free, blood built this home. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Red, white, blue, we bleed to survive. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Land of the free, ain't bending the knee. Truth in my veins, it's all I see. Patriots roar, no fear in the fight. Continue freedom, stand in the light.
And welcome back to Continue Freedom. Thank you guys so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. We've got a lot to get into today. It's going to be a good show. I'm going to ask for the new folks that are here. I'll hit you up right up front. Go ahead and smash the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell. That way you don't miss videos in the future. And if you do subscribe, be sure to check back in because a lot of folks tend to not get notifications. It's a bummer, but it happens. So we're going to talk today about, and actually one other thing. This is for all the folks that are watching this video. This is pulled from my stats. So about 70% of the people that watch these videos, 68% to be exact, they aren't subscribed. So be sure that you subscribe. That's super helpful to the channel. Engagement, blow up the chat whenever you guys come on. All good stuff. So we're going to talk first about J.D. Vance and his press conference today. It was one to behold. The guy is, for whatever you think of the guy, it's a sight to behold when he gets in front of a camera. So that's what's gotten him a lot of popularity. It's gotten him a bit of consistent support. But from the headline, from the main part from the thumbnail, this is J.D. Vance talking about Tim Walz, and this is when he was asked. Here, let's just listen to it.
We may be in that moment now. Can you comment on his rhetoric and Mayor Jacob Frey and whether they want to see unrest in Minneapolis?
Well, that's very tough rhetoric from a guy who just quit because his fraudulent activities have been uncovered. Look, Tim Walz is a joke. His entire administration has been a joke. The idea that he's some sort of freedom fighter, he's not. He's a guy who has enabled fraud and maybe, in fact, has participated in fraud. That's what this new Assistant Attorney General position is going to find out. I don't care what Tim Walz says. I care about getting to the bottom of this fraud for the American people, and I care about enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's what we're going to stay focused on.
I love when, I love a good political ribbing when somebody's able to get in there and say, all right, this guy is nonsense. This guy's trash. He had a couple more. He was wasn't just hitting Tim Walz, but he was hitting the mainstream media as well. When we were talking about obviously the shooting, the recent ICE shooting came up. That became a big piece of the press conference. And I was impressed that the Trump administration, they came out right up front and said, we stand with ICE, we stand with federal law enforcement, which is what they're supposed to do. And it's a nice departure from what we had during the Biden administration, where federal law enforcement, local law enforcement from at the state level, they did not have the support of the people who were supposed to have their back. It was immediately seeking to vilify them. That hasn't been the case with the Trump administration, and I think we're all better off for that. Let's go ahead and listen to this segment as well.
Mr. President, thank you. You said earlier that there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on into that network.
Yep.
So if everything that you say is true, how does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car, and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers. What is, I'm sorry, guys, what's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened. Next question.
I mean, this is one of his talents. For whatever people think of the guy, again, I when he first came into the scene or onto the scene, I didn't have a lot of trust in. I didn't know him. I didn't know who he was. Junior, I see your comments. Yeah, that lady FAFO. Now she's full of holes, and it sucks to be her. And it's sad when this sort of stuff happens. Not because, well, I'm glad that the officer was able to defend himself. I hope this doesn't turn into, another bogus court case. I mean, the guy his life was threatened. He doesn't know. Not a lot of people don't know this, but not too long ago, he had been drugged beside a car and had 30 stitches for a similar encounter. So naturally, he's going to be, kind of frosty, and he's, going to protect himself. He doesn't want something like that to happen again, because the next time it could have cost him his life. So he's doing what he was supposed to do, which is defending him, not just himself, but other people on the road, other people that she could have been ramming into. She had been following ICE around all day long. And I feel bad for her because she had succumbed to the leftist mind virus. And that leftist mind virus, boy, it is something that it's a contagion. It's bad, and people start feeding off one another. I'm going to show you a clip of some of these deranged leftists that are now begging ICE to shoot them, begging ICE to pepper spray them because they are the paid protesters. They're getting money to do that sort of thing. And it makes for good media that helps their cause, which is get them all out of here so we can keep the voters and get ICE out of Minneapolis so that we can keep our voting base in Minneapolis. That's what they're being paid to do. So yeah, it is sad. And there's one last clip of J.D. Vance that I'm going to play, and then I'm going to get to a little bit of Scott Jennings because everybody loves some Scott Jennings. You're crazy if you don't. Let's listen to this last bit here.
I'll make about this is, look, there's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology. What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed to get to that point to where you're willing not just to protest, that's fine, not peacefully protest, but throw your vehicle in front of legitimate law enforcement officers and drive your car into them. To get to that point, you have to be, I think, radicalized in a very, very sad way. I certainly wish that she hadn't got there. I know there's an ICE officer right now who very much wishes he was not put in the position where he had to fire a gun to defend his own life.
Yeah, and that's what people don't take into account. They think the left pitches ICE or any federal law enforcement, any local law enforcement, state law enforcement, they pitch them as these bloodthirsty monsters. It's the same thing they did talking about unarmed black men or unarmed black people being shot. The number is double digits throughout the year, but the average American thought that it was thousands, in some cases tens of thousands. You can watch the man on the street interviews. Go to X and you can find him. I didn't pull any up for tonight, but I've shown them on this show before. People think they have these exaggerated numbers in their head, and it makes them think that federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, that they are these angry, vitriolic, bloodthirsty vigilantes out here doing the will of some dictator, and that's not the case. They're enforcing the law as they're supposed to. It's really quite simple. And as J.D. Vance pointed out, and as I've said several times on this show, the leftist mind virus tells them that it is a worthwhile endeavor to go and try to run them over with their cars, beat them, whatever it happens to be. It's really, it's wild. And this, Scott Jennings says it well. I'm going to play this clip of Scott Jennings because he's talking about an epidemic that's not just in these encounters we've seen recently with ICE up in Minneapolis. This is something you can watch on social media on a loop. These individuals, fleeing from the scene when they're arrested, being pulled over and hassling the cops. I mean, it's all sorts of just nastiness that goes on because of what he's talking about here. Let's listen to this.
But it strikes me that we are undergoing an epidemic of political vigilantism right now. Why are people showing up in vehicles, in convoys, not just in Minneapolis, but all over the country in an effort to obstruct lawful federal law enforcement activities? This is not an isolated incident. We have had hundreds of car rammings against ICE agents all over the country. According to DHS, this lady in this car today, along with other vehicles, had been tracking ICE agents around. Why are people believing that they can drive their car into a federal law enforcement situation and that is an appropriate thing to do? I understand they don't like the fact that these agents are enforcing existing immigration law, but that's not how we change laws in this country. If you don't like a law, you talk to the politicians. You don't drive your car into the middle of a building or a law enforcement situation that's being occupied by the people who are simply there to enforce the law. If I don't like how much the IRS is charging me in taxes, I don't drive my car into the Treasury Department and try to run somebody over. I call my congressman. Political vigilantism is being encouraged by Democratic officials like the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan, who earlier this year told people to, quote, put your bodies on the line, and Tim Walz calling these guys Gestapo all year. What do you think happens when you radicalize a base of people
I mean, there you go. So there's a cultural component to this as well, though. Like I said, people being pulled over by police, and you see them unnecessarily elevating the situation. A cop is saying, look, you're speeding, or you've got a tail light out, or you don't have a license plate, or I can't see your temporary plate, or whatever. And they automatically jump to, like it's the Spanish Inquisition. Look, you're breaking the law. They're there to do their job. Most of them are going to give you a warning. Some of them might give you a ticket. It's not the end of the world, but that's all they're there to do. Instead, and it started, I think, most aggressively during the Summer of Love, as the left, termed it. But the riots in these places where businesses and cities were being burned to the ground, and these individuals, these leftists, were allowed to run roughshod over the police. They were being bailed out by the former vice president of the United States and other people of the Democrat Party, raising money to kick them out. And they're saying, "Look, I've got top cover from the politicians, from the governors, from anybody in a blue state that's running a blue state. I've got top cover from them. So I'm going to be a vigilante. I'm going to be wild, and I'm going to go out here and do my thing. Nobody's going to mess with me." And that's not the case anymore. And now it's a mess around and find out sort of situation. Junior, I see your comments over here. You had a couple of them here that I wanted to pull up. Let's see. And by the way, everybody get into the comments. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I saw your last comment, Jared. It looks like YouTube is bullying and minimizing your channel again. They don't notify all your subscribers. I know. Everybody keeps coming back saying, I'm not getting notified. Like, I'm not hearing about it. Let's see. 120, there would have been a massive, yeah, that was the one I wanted to bring up. Let me pull it up here because it's better here. So psychologists said that if Trump won in 2024, then there would have been a massive mental health crisis in Democrats. And that describes it. I mean, it's the safe spaces. It's the mental weakness, all of that stuff. So let's see. The next one, inconsistency with law enforcement. This is another great point that Scott Jennings makes. And I'm gonna get to some of my commentary, some of my more in-depth commentary on this here in a minute. But let's play this one. This guy is so good. I mean, he's fantastic.
And they were pardoned. And just this week, they were marching down the street to the Capitol again. Why are you shaking your head?
Because this cannot be your go-to.
But no, I'm not saying that.
On January 6th,
I am pro-law enforcement.
Democrats said we're pro-law enforcement. Today they say they're Gestapo. Which is it? Which is it?
No, I will say the vast majority of Democrats are pro-law enforcement. And we believe that law enforcement...
Tim Walz, he says they're Gestapo.
Let me finish.
He says they're Gestapo.
Scott,
do you agree?
Scott, let me finish. I do not agree. Let me finish. Many Democrats, and the vast majority of them, are pro-law enforcement. They believe that law enforcement should actually get the training that they deserve and they need. Hold on, I'm not done. Hold on.
You don't know about this guy's training.
Let me tell you.
Stop implying that he's not trained.
In Minnesota,
he was dragged by a car last summer.
In Minnesota, blocks from where this woman was killed, was the George Floyd shooting. What happened at the time is the Justice Department entered a consent decree with the Minneapolis Police Department wanting to provide those law enforcement officers training so something like that would never happen again. And Donald Trump's administration completely dismissed that matter. And so now Minneapolis law enforcement officials are not getting the training that they need.
So now they'll chalk it up to, by the way, they're chalking it up to a lack of training. But 1 minute, these people being the ones on the left, they'll talk about the brave men and women in blue on January 6th, right? The brave men and women in blue, the ones who perjured themselves and got promotions, the ones who took out an unarmed woman, an unarmed Air Force veteran at the Capitol building, and then subsequently got promoted. Those are the brave men and women in blue. Any other time, basically any other time, they're the enemy, they're Gestapo, they're whatever. And does she make a valid point about training? Yeah, she does. I've got a family member who's a police officer, and they can't get people, they can't hire enough people because the cities don't want to pump budget, or don't want to, give them the budget to do it. So they're lacking personnel. When you're lacking personnel, more people are on the beat. They're spending more time in the street. And then, sorry, Junior, I just saw your comment. At this point, you're getting more viewers than CNN. That's funny. Yeah. So these cops, they're walking the streets. They're out on patrol. They're doing all these things. And then the amount of time left for training is minuscule. So could there be a training component to this? Yeah. But just as Scott Jang says, we don't know this guy's training. All we know is 3 camera angles that show him in front of the vehicle, the woman accelerating towards the man, and him taking a defensive action. The other piece of this is how quickly this happens. People they don't understand it. They don't understand split-second decisions. It's this Hollywood mentality. The same people that said, shoot him in the leg. All right, I'm sure people have done this on the internet, but and maybe I'll do it. I'll find somebody and say, all right, here's a mannequin at, I'll put it at 10 yards and say, shoot the guy in the leg. It's not going to happen. The average police officer is not just going to, take the chance of hitting someone, simply wounding them, and they're still able to attack. I mean, it's just, it's ludicrous. They live in a fantasy world. So she says, oh, it's training, it's this, it's that, it's the other, whatever.
And they were pardoned.
Oopsie.
And just
There we go. My apologies. Okay. Moving on to the next one. So this one is this is the point I was making before. So the guy who did take the lethal action of self-defense, I will stand by that. The one who was defending himself. He was survived an earlier car attack by a illegal immigrant needing 33 stitches. So this had happened. This is what Scott Jennings was referencing. So while speaking with reporters in the White House on Thursday following a fatal shooting of a woman, Vice President J.D. Vance revealed that the agent, and I thought I had it marked in here in the article, but I guess I didn't. Oh, here we go. Per CNY Central, illegal immigrant Roberto Carlos, interesting, another illegal immigrant, and a convicted child sex offender attempted to flee federal law enforcement during a traffic stop in Bloomington, Minnesota in June. The agent was struck by Carlos and dragged 300 feet, receiving significant cuts that required stitches. So yeah, do you think that officer is going to be a little frosty when he's got a deranged leftist in a vehicle in front of him who's been following them around all day and blocking the road, trying to impede their ability to do their job? Yeah, of course he's going to be frosty. Of course he's going to be worried. He knows, he has a firsthand experience of how these things can turn around and how his life can be put in danger. And it's just like with the, people make the arguments for weapons at home, when it comes to the Second Amendment. And the left always talks about, well, the AR-15 it's too lethal. Well, let's talk about firearms in general. This is the whole purpose of them is to make the engagement lopsided. That's what we want to do. We want it to be as lopsided as possible in favor of the person either enforcing the law or protecting themselves as opposed to the criminal, right? But the left doesn't see it that way. They think that there should be 10 levels of escalation of force before we ever get to the point that a firearm is discharged, because they've never been in those situations, because they live cushy lives, because they're insulated and they don't live in reality, I guess would be the best way to put it. And now Minneapolis police, they are kind of they're basically alluding to taking action against ICE. This is interesting. So this police chief, he was part of the misinformation around this whole situation. He was saying he started with the narrative that this woman was just peacefully driving around. I'm maybe over exaggerating how he pitched it, but he wasn't pitching it as any kind of criminal activity. They were saying she was on her way to the hospital to get medical care and this, that, and the other, which is not what happened. We can watch the video, never mind, don't believe your lying eyes sort of thing, but listen to this.
The Trump administration said about what happened yesterday that rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle. Are those the same reports you have, that there were rioters?
The reports that I have in this particular circumstance is that there was a woman who was at one point blocking the street. But what I also know, and I don't know about this specific person, but what I think everybody knows that's been happening here over the last several weeks is that there have been groups of people exercising their First Amendment rights. And by that I mean they have the right to peaceably assemble. They have the right to observe, to live stream and record police activity.
Yes, but not interfere. Not interfere. You don't get to interfere.
And they have the right to protest and object to it. But the line is people must be able to exercise those First Amendment rights lawfully and to do it safely. And so that is where the line is. But again, as I've said repeatedly over and over and over again, I have seen this tension continuously building. And I think it is our obligations as law enforcement leaders, to be the grown-ups in the room and to look at this and say, hey, maybe we need to reevaluate our tactics. Maybe we need to do things to ensure that we are not unnecessarily putting lives at risk, both the lives of our law enforcement officers who are serving, as well as the lives of people in the community. Because as best I could tell, all this was initially about was a middle-aged woman in her car blocking the street.
Bottom line, when it comes to your job.
It's so much more than that. Well, first off, she was blocking the street. Let's just talk about that. She was blocking the street and should not have been. She had been doing this all day long. This is admitted by other people that were with her. She was impeding their ability to get their job done. And then she tried to ram a guy. And there are consequences. It's the play stupid game, win stupid prizes. Sad that it happened. But the Monday morning quarterbacking is what drives me nuts with these people, in particular on the left. So it's happened from the Cuomos. It's happened here's Chris Cuomo. Let's see. I could do that one, or I could do Morning Joe. Let's do Chris Cuomo. Let's play Chris Cuomo's take on this, because everybody, good, great. And he had Bill O'Reilly on. I'm not I grew up listening to Bill O'Reilly, but. Anyway.
None of that matters in the legal analysis.
Sure it does.
No, none of that matters in the legal analysis of what happened. It's whether or not the guy had to shoot her in the head to avoid being hurt himself.
Well,
that is the legal question. And then there's the bigger question of why he was even in Minnesota.
Look, I'm going to leave that to the jury or wherever it comes or who investigates, Cuomo, because I wasn't there and I don't know. And if you try to adjudicate it on television, you're looking irresponsible. You are irresponsible.
You're looking at it. No, I'm not irresponsible. Okay? Bill, you don't like what you see. Are. So you're going to ignore that and go to the politicians. No, you don't like what I'm
saying. You don't like what I'm saying because you can't refute it. This is bad decision-making.
You're talking about who lit the fuse. The President of the United States came out after this and gave a completely fallacious description of what happened and said the officer is lucky to be alive. He could have stepped out of the way, Bill. It's not even a close call. He could have. But let it run its course. And if I were president, I would have done that. I would have done that. That's why you shouldn't be president. That's why you shouldn't be president.
Okay, fine. The President of the United States is not responsible for this. He's upholding the law. He told everybody he was going to do it, and 77 million people voted for him to do it.
He's responsible to. He is responsible to be reasonable.
You go.
Find me a president who ever spoke like this in a crisis. Find me a president who ever had someone shot and killed by law enforcement and handled it this way. I'll wait, but let me bring in Stephen because he's listening to us ramble on like a couple of dopes. I'm not deflecting.
You're deflecting the main problem. Bad decision-making on the part of everyone
it wasn't a bad
involved
decision.
there.
It wasn't a bad decision to send in 2,000 people.
So look, this is what really drives me nuts, and you guys let me know if it drives you nuts as well. They trace it back 10 levels back, and they say, well, it's Donald Trump's fault because he sent them there in the first place. They are there to do what the American people elected him to do, and that is deport people. That's why we have ICE in these cities, because they are sanctuary cities. They're places that welcome them in. They are places that now we know have been conducting billions of dollars worth of fraud. And Trump says, we're going to do our part, what we can do, and get these people. And you have agitators from the Cuomo side of the aisle saying, no, we're going to go and impede you. It's our First Amendment, right? This is like the same thing. They're saying First Amendment, blocking a street. That's all they were doing is blocking a street. They say the same thing about the protesters who glue their hands to the cement, who glue their hands to the road. Oh, it's just First Amendment. They block interstates, BLM, blocking interstates, stopping commerce. It's just their First Amendment. No, that's breaking the law. There's a difference. The town square does not mean preventing, ambulances from getting to the hospital with patients. It doesn't mean stopping cops from responding to a domestic violence situation. It doesn't mean stopping ICE from exercising their lawful duties in arresting people who are criminals inside of this country. They default to Trump never should have sent him there. This wouldn't have happened if they never would have sent him there. It's it's stupid. There's not a better way to put it. It is a moronic way to look at this situation. Take the situation for what it was. A deranged woman tried to run over an ICE agent. And it's not just, look, let me give you an example. I'm going to show an example. I was going to initially play it up front, but I'm going to play it now because I didn't actually start with it. This is the type of people that they are dealing with. Listen to this. Here you go. Blow your mind. I mean, and there's dozens of these, probably hundreds. In my feed, I've come across dozens, and I was pulling them out. I'm like, good gracious, shoot me, pepper spray me. Derangement. Trump derangement syndrome is real, and the leftist mind virus is very real. It leads people to do some pretty odd things, just like that one. But that's what ICE is dealing with on a daily basis. Let's see, IDK, I don't know the future. Hey, welcome back, by the way. Let's see, if we're going to take it that far back, let's take another step back and note that they wouldn't be, wouldn't be there in the first place if there wasn't a massive fraud becoming committed by immigrants. Well, there you go. That's that valid point. Valid point. The fraud is happening, and not just the fraud, but it's the fact that the people came across the border illegally, and we said we want them out. Trump said okay, and now they're there. They can walk it back as far as they want. The federal law enforcement's not doing anything wrong. You can question whether or not the guy should have shot. Fine, you're more than welcome to do that. But they're in inhospitable territory, very inhospitable territory. In fact, here's what a local McDonald's owner thinks of them. Here you go.
On the door that says ICE is not allowed. We couldn't help but notice there's a sign that says no ICE on the door.
Yeah, just to let you know, at the end of the day, this is private property. Mm-hmm. So you can't just break the law because you're a federal agent. It's like coming into your house or coming to any other restaurant. There's rules. So.
Did the manager put that on the door? How did that get there?
I'm not sure, but it's there.
How do you guys enforce it?
they read the signs. You know, at the end of the day, you have all right to come in and make a purchase. It's just there's.
Can we point out a different issue here? The issue is, why in the world does a McDonald's need a security agent? I've been to I've traveled this country far and wide, and I don't spend a lot of time in big cities, but I've never seen a McDonald's that required a security agent, a security guard, wearing a flak vest nonetheless. So a guy in body armor, and looks like he's got a pistol on him. Let's see. I didn't even pay attention to that initially. What did he spin around so we could see it? No, he can't see that side of it. So the guy looks armed. At the very least, he's got a taser. But we don't need federal law enforcement. We don't need any help here. Everything's just fine. It's just fine here, people. And instead, they go after the people who are actually trying to help them. Because we know that. Come on, guys. We know this. You all know this just as much as I do. That the more of those people that they take out of these, more illegal immigrants they take out of these cities and states, there will be a precipitous decline in crime. It's going to happen. I don't want chicken nuggets that badly. That's right. Not willing to get shivved for chicken nuggets. I do love a McChicken, I'll tell you. Oh my goodness. Let's see. And it's being, look, I'm going to play two more things, then I'm going to get into some Candace Owens and the drama going on with the Daily Wire. Oh, it's hysterical. People have been trolling Candace left and right, and I love it. But the people that are really egging them on, more people from the left, more commentators from the left. But this is Whoopi Goldberg. Listen to this. This is golly. I think the same. Well, I was going to say the same people that listen to Candace Owens are listening to
Let
the
me
video
just
as
say
well.
this. Here's my question: where is everybody? Where is everybody else? We come to everybody's aid.
Yeah.
We help everybody.
Yeah.
NATO, they came and helped us after 9/11. Where is everybody? Because
They're worrying about Greenland right now.
Well,
because beyond,
Which we're going to buy, by the way.
Where is the government? Do you realize we don't have a government?
Oh, you
because
mean
we don't have
given all their power away.
Yeah. Yes,
they do nothing.
This is a huge and should be our biggest bitch right now.
It is.
That should be. Yeah. Because all of this is happening because there is no one doing checks and balances.
There's no system.
Where is the government? Why aren't they doing their job? And let me tell you, I feel like, you know, he hinted yesterday, he says he was joking, but he hinted yesterday that maybe there won't be midterms.
Oh, here we go
You
again.
know? Oh, yeah. Now, you know, we're in it already. Okay, we're not heading into it. We're in the dome right now. Okay, we're in it. So we really need to be paying attention to who we've given power to. And if the people we've given power to, whoever you vote for, if the person you've given power to doesn't give a damn about you, get them out.
Yeah.
So that was a long way of saying absolutely nothing, but implying that we don't have a government. Like, what a stupid comment. We don't. Yes, we do. Government was there doing their job, but instead they're trying to terrify people, and they terrify people by saying things like this. Here we
Gives me
go.
great hope. People are starting to recognize from wherever they voted from that something is terribly wrong.
I agree.
And it makes me
Feel better?
Feel like I can take a breath. Because for a long time, it felt like that people just thought we were, just talking to waste air. But people are seeing things because everyone is affected by this. That young lady could have been anybody in this audience.
Well,
It doesn't matter what, forget color, forget it. It could have been anybody. And if they can do this to her, they can do it to you too.
So they're implying that oh my gosh, that her audience is in danger. Well, no, you're not in danger. Don't try to run over law enforcement with your vehicle, and you'll be perfectly safe. You'll be perfectly safe. They won't be out here trying to shoot you. There's not, come on. My goodness gracious. Okay, now let's get into some of the Candace Owens. I guess I don't even know if I would call it infighting. I've been saying Candace is a leftist. And she posted this, I think it was tonight. And hallelujah. Finally, after 3 months. Okay, I'm seeing in the comments that some of your comments are being blocked, Junior. Yeah, it's possible. So it says, after months of research, months and months of research. So that's what this has been. I thought it was truth-telling. I thought it was, I feel ready to assert my theory regarding why Charlie Kirk was assassinated and what it has to do with his last trip to Korea and Japan, plus that phone call with Bibi Netanyahu. The past is prologue. So here look, this is the shape-shifting chameleons that we have to deal with. She is public enemy number one when it comes to that. But the past, 3 months, it's been prologue. It's been research, as she says. So one day she's a truth teller. One day she's just presenting evidence. Another day she's just an investigator asking questions. Another day this is rock solid and she's implying that it is all true. Then another day, she's saying, oh, this was all prologue. This was just leading up to it. No. This was, my speculation and my this, my that. But then she wants you to tune in for another 20 shows where she's going to drip more evidence, which is really just her saying stupid things into cameras. And people they're catching on to the grift. I think it's a good thing that they are. But the best one, the Daily Wire. Oh my goodness. So they still have control over her Candace Owens podcast account. And if you guys haven't seen this, you're going to enjoy it. It's interesting. We highlighted the comment in a previous show where she said, to Ben Shapiro, just leave me alone. It's like a broken relationship, like an old boyfriend, that sort of thing. Here we go. Listen to this.
That I genuinely feel like when you break up with someone and you have a crazy ex, that was how it felt like being fired from the Daily Wire. Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, from the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, Andrew Klavan, my crazy ex-boyfriend, Andrew Klavan. The Daily Wire. Is that the Daily Wire? He does some stuff, the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. At the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. From the Daily Wire. From the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. From the Daily Wire. Take the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro. Dave Smith. The answer to this question might get you kicked off the Daily Wire. I had to laugh at that. That's really funny. The Daily Wire. And the Daily Wire. My psycho ex-boyfriend. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Reagan Conrad. Jeremy Boring. The Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Daily Wire with the Daily Wire and the Daily Wire. Brett Cooper out at the Daily Wire. Daily Wire, the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, Daily Wire, the Daily Wire. Daily Wire, sign up for the Daily Wire. After I got fired from the Daily Wire, we're like, she's done, she's toast. The Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro. Fuck you. Oh, sorry, I forgot that was in there. Oh my goodness. Oh, and then the last part was, oh, hang on, I gotta play the last part. Oh, doggone it.
And I was like, why are you so obsessed with me?
So the Daily Wire posted this on Candace Owens' old show's X account, and millions upon millions. It was 1.3, I think, is the number. I thought, what a great troll. Well done, Daily Wire. And it's not just the Daily Wire that's been going after. Now, Alex Jones, everybody's favorite conspiracy theorist who tends to be right quite a bit, he started coming after her for her bot claims. So, the bots are a real problem on X in particular. They exist over on YouTube and in other places. But there's estimates, some people have said that it could be as high as 80% of the traffic on X is bots. I don't know if it's that high or not, but there is a significant amount of bot traffic. And if you haven't seen the bot farms, there's walls of cell phones in Turkey and Bangladesh and wherever else that are, plugged into computers, and they just have them tweet and post and make all of these basically push a narrative to engage with stuff that helps shift the algorithm, help shift what's popular. And I've said for a long time that I think that she is heavily botted, but now Alex Jones, this was interesting. Listen to this.
And then she doubles down on Fort Huachuca and says bots are attacking her from Fort Huachuca when she is the bot queen, and of course shows no evidence. And then you go to her followers and her people, and it's almost all weaponized bots, heavily pushed, and her husband runs internet scraping companies and bot factories and is a lord. And a lot of the main attacks on Trump are out of the UK. So I'm just like, I didn't even want to look at it. The more I look, it's just like, oh my God, this is ridiculously proven.
You know, I've been doing this show for a little while now. As in the past month, I have never used this many Alex Jones clips. It's interesting. Different people are speaking the right stuff. They're on a roll at different times. That's just the way it goes in this world, I guess. But the other one that I want to highlight is you guys have probably seen this, the Megyn Kelly situation when it comes to Candace Owens. Now, there's been the divide on the right. I've spent an inordinate amount of time talking about it. We are very fractured on the right. Around certain issues, we're not, interestingly enough. So it makes you wonder how much of the traffic is bot traffic. When I'm sitting here looking at engagement on posts, is it legitimate? Is it really the public square? Is X the public square that we think it is? I think X is heavily swayed. Is YouTube really the public square? Well, no, YouTube is kind of controlled by the left. So the left pushes Candace Owens to the front because it benefits them. Do I think there is an actual fracture? Yes. Do I think it could cost us the midterms? Yes. I think if we keep going on the route we're going, or on the path we're going, the midterms are going to be in serious jeopardy. I do believe that. But these have, Megyn Kelly, who I've been a fan of for a very, very long time. I've been critical of her stance on Candace Owens, and I'm not the only one. But let's listen to this. I think this is the one. Let me see. Make sure I clicked the right one. Yeah, this is the one that Dave Rubin posted. And actually, Dave Rubin liked my repost, which is interesting. I've never had an account that big on my X account give me a like. But this is it. There's some language. So if you got kids around, earmuff them or put your headphones on. But here we go.
He's very interesting and he's very smart. And on a lot of things, there is value to be derived from that guy's messaging. I'm sorry, but he actually has a lot of things he talks about that you're like, oh, this is not a bad point about our country.
The problem is that Jews run America, okay? And the only reason we have Muslims here is because Jews are letting them in.
And on a lot of things, there is value to be derived from that guy's messaging.
A lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that. But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them.
A lot of things he talks about that you're like, oh, this is not a bad point about our country.
The United States government has become the evil empire in the world.
He's very interesting and he's very smart.
I took Turning Point USA and I f***ed it. I took your organization, I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I f***ed it.
There is value to be derived from that guy's messaging.
It's Joseph Stalin's birthday. Oh, I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was an admirer.
I'm sorry, but he actually has a lot of things he talks about that you're like, oh, this is not a bad point about our country.
So we'll be going out telling people, vote for a protest candidate, vote for the Democrat, vote for a third party, don't vote, vote for anyone else, do not give the anchor baby your vote. Disgusting. And that's a message for Vance in 28.
There is value to be derived from that guy's messaging.
Why do we say Hitler's cool and make jokes about this? Because we are destroying the secular religion of liberalism and the Holocaust, which go hand in glove. That's why. He asked me about the 6 million. To tell you the truth, I don't know how many Jews died during the Holocaust. I don't care.
He's very interesting.
It's a pretty good mashup. And I've played a ton of Nick Fuentes clips. But let's see. Nick Fuentes is way too grifty. Do as bad as CNN. Yes, Nick Fuentes is a grifter. And I've started to feel, I don't feel that way about Megyn Kelly, but when I listen to Megyn Kelly's commentary on Candace Owens, here's my take. This is what it sounds like to me, that she's got a version of IDS, so Israel, derangement syndrome, and it's in some cases well justified. And I will say this because Megyn Kelly has been attacked because she plays middle of the road. She's a journalist. She is, by and large, she's a journalist, and she is out here to present information. That's what Megyn Kelly's trying to do. She doesn't want to tie herself necessarily to one side or the other, although she is a conservative. She has been somewhat of a supporter of Trump, but she was a bit of a never Trumper. Thanks, I don't know the future. You have an awesome night too. Yeah. So, let's see. Yeah. Where was I? Yeah. So anyway, Megyn Kelly I don't see her as a grifter per se, but I do think that it's a little disingenuous that with all the information that is available to us from Candace Owens and what Candace Owens has been saying, the lies, the misinformation, Megyn playing dumb when asked let me see if I pulled up the right one. Let me see. Sorry. Mid-thought. I apologize for that. Yeah, so for her playing dumb when it comes to Candace Owens and the lies and the deception that she's been spreading, accusing Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA of somehow being responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, playing dumb to all of that doesn't make any sense to me. And I feel like some of her anger is warranted because people like Mark Levin, they have come out and called her an anti-Semite simply for questioning certain things, which you are more than welcome to do. Anybody can do it. That doesn't make you an anti-Semite. But Mark Levin comes out with his hateful vitriol and attacks her. And people that had been her friends for a long time were saying, you're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semite. And no, you're asking questions. It's the government of a country. You're more than welcome to question them. That doesn't make you an anti-Semite. And so the pro-Israel people expected her, one of the most popular center-right pro-Israel women, to support them fully no matter what they did. And that is just not a reasonable position. So it feels like now this is like high school drama, that she's just kind of angry about it. And she says, well, I'm kind of doing it out of spite. I'm not saying that's what she's doing. I'm just saying that's kind of the way that it comes across. Let me play this one here. This is her own
Candace Owens. And that she really drives people crazy. She drives them crazy. They were very angry that I didn't call her out for what she said about Israel possibly being involved with Charlie Kirk. Well, I didn't call her out because I was totally fine with those questions being raised and still am. I'm sorry, but I am. I'm sick of this bullshit. I am allowed to have questions about what, if anyone, aligned with Israel or from Israel might have had to do with Charlie's death.
But is there any evidence of that? Slinging it out there it's not a revelation. They sling it out there about the people that hate Israel, sling Israel out there for every major catastrophe, any significant event. They're going to be named. It's a given. She's saying, well, no, ask questions, but that's the problem. It's questions with innuendo. And that drives people, a very loyal following that Candace Owens has, to say that it is factual. And that's disingenuous. That's false. So there's we're pissed about, I don't have a problem with people questioning Israel or whatever they do, but we're pissed off about the lies and unfounded allegations surrounding the murder of one man, right? And it's the one man who was the only person holding this entire MAGA movement together, apparently. But I do feel like Megyn is being a little high school drama-ish. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments, down in the chat. It's not hard to say, yeah, she's out there. Candace Owens is out there. Anybody with an IQ above their shoe size knows that. And to chuckle about Candace driving people nuts, look, okay, fine. You think that's funny? I don't. I mean, I'll tell you what I do think is funny. This guy who I've been deeply critical of and who was, just doing that sit down with Megyn Kelly. Listen to this.
Stop, Armin. So the Islamic regime right now is literally broadcasting Tucker Carlson interviews in Persian on their 24-hour news channel. The country is in a state of chaos, and yet for some reason, the Islamic regime is choosing to play Tucker Carlson interviews because this is it's Islamist propaganda. I'm just filming this right now because if I didn't do this, no one would believe. This is literally what's going on in occupied Iran right now.
So occupied Iran, everybody knows they control the internet. They control, all telecommunications. It's a dictatorship. It's a theocracy. I mean, it's a oppressive theocracy inside of Iran, and they only play what benefits them. Now, I don't know which interview this is, but I'm going to go out there on a limb and say it's probably the one where he is playing up Sharia law as though Sharia law is a good thing. And to be able to contort what he says, again, if this is true, I'm going to caveat and say, if this is true, it's obviously on Iranian television, but I can't understand the translation over the top of it. But would it really surprise anybody if that were the case? Well, it wouldn't surprise me, because he talks very highly of Sharia law. He talks down about America. He talks down about America about as bad as the left does. He talks about all the ways that the country has failed, that we're living in a failed state. Are there ways that we are? Yeah, but he doesn't give any policy prescriptions for fixing it. He just highlights the problems, and he plays not even the devil's advocate. He's just a muckraker is what he's become. And I'm sorry, but if your commentary is able to be played on Iranian television, then you might be doing something wrong. And this is being played in the midst of all the madness going on over there. If you guys haven't seen it, Iran is in complete upheaval. It's really wild what's going on there right now. People are revolting. There's going to be some violence. So you guys let me know what you think. Is this high school drama stuff? Is this, what? I'm going to get to some comments here in a minute. You guys drop some more down there, whoever's watching. Junior, you've been burning up the comments tonight, man. You are obviously number one on the comment chart. Niles, you're number 2, man. Welcome aboard. Okay, so let's get into the next segment, and then we will end with comments. I have a couple of things I want to bring up. We have to be honest. We have to be genuine when it comes to Donald Trump. I am a Trump supporter. I love Donald Trump. I love my president. But do I think that this in particular is warranted? We have upped our defense budget many, many, many times over. And just like in Minneapolis and Minnesota, there is fraud, waste, and abuse going on in the federal government. And Trump is now saying we need $1.5 trillion in a defense budget to build the dream military. So, here we go. This is from Fox News. And it says, after long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, secretaries, and other political representatives, I have determined that for the good of our country, especially in these very troubled and dangerous times, our military budget for the year 2027 should not be $1 trillion, but rather $1.5 trillion, Trump wrote on Truth Social Thursday evening. This will allow us to build the dream military that we have been entitled to, and more importantly, that will keep us safe and secure regardless of foe. The president said he came up with the number after tariff revenues created a surplus of cash. He claimed the levies were bringing in enough money to pay for both a major boost to the defense budget, easily pay down the national debt, which is more than $38 trillion, and offer a substantial dividend to moderate income patriots. The boost likely reflects efforts to fund Trump's ambitious military plans, from the Golden Dome Homeland Missile Defense Shield to a new Trump class of battleships. Here's my beef as somebody who has seen the fraud, waste, and abuse in the military, in the Defense Department. This is not a good idea. $1 trillion, in my opinion, my humble opinion, should be enough, and we have more than enough to cut out of our current budget. The process itself it's based on waste, and not to mention the contracting process can take years, in some cases decades. There's a funny video out there, and it's from a movie, and I think it was Kelsey Grammer, and you can find it. Find Kelsey Grammer Bradley fighting vehicle, and it's on YouTube. You can find the downplay, but they go through the process for the U.S. military to create the Bradley fighting vehicle, which was either loved or hated by people in the military. I was always light, I was light infantry and then light artillery, so I never rode in vehicles. We pretty much walked everywhere. Well, we rode in vehicles in Iraq and Afghanistan, but I was never in armored vehicles like that, like the larger armored vehicles. Anyway, people either loved it or they hated it, but the process became infamous for government fraud, waste, abuse, inefficiencies, and they put it in a film, and it's comical because it's accurate. The film is accurate. And so you've got these lengthy processes. Everybody's given their 2 cents. We're just handing over money, just hand over fist. Money. We pour it into something. And once you start producing it and giving it to the military to recoup the costs, it's massive expenditures. There's not Lucky. What's the guy that does the cloud seeding company? I can't remember his name now. It just escapes me. He's working on the ability for us to convert our factories in a time of war to cheaply create things like cruise missiles and precision-guided munitions. That's the type of innovation that we need to be able to create effective weapons more cheaply, not to keep going for, spend a boatload of money on aircraft. I mean, look at the F-22s. Amazing aircraft, and only 30% of them were able to fly. That was the last number I heard. Maybe it's more now, but it was around 30 to 40%. There's fraud, waste, and abuse there because we're paying defense contractors exorbitant amounts of money to keep up our own fleet because we don't even work on our own planes. We hire civilians that work for the companies to work on the planes. They pocket tons and tons of our cash. How about we start working on efficiencies? Cut out the fraud, waste, and abuse. Stop spending money on nonsense. So I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of it. But Tucker even came out and said, oh, this is the reason that they're doing this is because we're going to go to war. We're going to war, da-da-da-da-da. And that doesn't seem to be the case. We're not going to war with Venezuela. I think we all know that. That's not going to happen. Venezuela is not a threat to us. Everybody that was trying to do business in Venezuela, they're a threat. China, Russia, Iran, those people are a threat. But yeah, we're not going to full-scale war with Venezuela. That won't take very long. We got their president in a couple of hours. I think we could take out the Venezuelan military pretty quick. But the people are saying, the isolationists, the Tucker Carlsons of the world and the Dave Smiths of the world, they're doing cheetah flips because we're getting into more foreign war. No, it's actually not what we're doing. We've decreased the amount of war globally. Trump has been ending wars, and he's also been positioning us to be a powerhouse in our hemisphere once again, and he's booting out the people that don't have our best interests at heart. And so this isolationist label is basically MAGA is rejecting it. They're saying, no, we're not full isolationist, which is my position. I don't want foreign war. I don't want forever wars. I don't want any of that nonsense, and I know you guys don't either. But we're not entirely isolationist because that's not a tenable situation. It's not a tenable stance for us to take. There has to be a balance. And that's where we're so polarized over here on the right is we're either fully isolationist or we're going to go back to old school Romney Republican, kick up a war wherever we can find one. Trump is pushing back against that. And whoever takes over after Trump, provided we don't, destroy our party between now and then, whoever takes over after him has to be able to walk that same line. Exert your dominance, walk softly, carry a big stick. Every now and then, swing that stick at a serpent here and there. But more or less, keep the homeland safe. Keep us protected. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. You know what I'm saying? So after a long and difficult negotiation with, let's see, that was the wrong one. Let me bring up the right article. This is from the Post Millennial. I always like to shout out the Post Millennial because they are a great publication. But let's see, where was it here? Okay, a big component of the MAGA agenda is no new wars. President Donald Trump ran on this during his 2024 campaign, and since taking office, he has negotiated peace across several global conflicts. He has also upheld the principles of the Monroe Doctrine, meaning that the United States has jurisdiction over its own backyard. In the wake of Trump's capture and arrest of Venezuelan socialist leader Nicolas Maduro, there have been concerns about the potential coming of another foreign war, but the MAGA right has made a clear distinction between removing a criminal dictator from his position and undertaking a war to create regime change conditions and what is in the best interest of the United States. See, this is the thing. When we go into these regime changes of the past, we eliminated la-di-da-di everybody. Everybody left. In Iraq, it was de-Baathification. We said, get all the educated elites out of here. Now we're going to start from the ground up. And you had, no offense against ditch diggers, but a lot of them aren't the best at making foreign policy or aren't the best at running, large neighborhoods and large communities. But that's sort of what happened. We took the folks that had an education who were most capable of doing that, and we booted them out. That's a recipe for disaster. We've done similar things in, I think, Syria or in Libya. And, of course, we did it in Afghanistan. We've done it all over the world, and we suck at it. We're really, really bad at it. But I think it's a positive that even Tucker had to admit, look, he said, in fact, here, I'll play his comments directly so you can hear it straight from good old TC's mouth. Here we go.
And I'm grateful for the wisdom of what I'm grateful for. And I'm grateful for the wisdom of not taking out the entire government, not because I support the government, but because, we have clear models in Iraq and Libya and a lot of Syria. Like, it can be very hard to put those things back together again. And the fact that they appear to be backing Delcy Rodriguez, not because they love her, but because they're in favor of stability over chaos, and her brother, and they're kind of, keeping the structure in place, but making sure it's pro-American, that seems like a much wiser approach. That makes me calm down a little bit.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have come out just guns a-blazing saying that we're getting into another foreign war and putting people into a tailspin. That would have been the wise thing to do, which is approach this situation with a little moderation. I've had to do that, right? I mean, I had to do that after I won't say I've had to do that. I've been trying to do that for a long time. And when we bombed Iran, I was wary. I thought, oh gosh, here we go. Another foreign war, another forever war. This isn't what I voted for, da, 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 da. And that didn't happen. Trump kept us out of it. I've gained even more respect for him over the past, 6 months. And it's because he's able to exert America, keep us safe, protect our borders without getting us embroiled in some massive conflict that's going to cost us blood and treasure. So they're calling it Don Roe doctrine, for Donald Trump. It's pretty clever. It's clever. All right, let's get to comments, and let's see. Here we go. I know that I don't know the future. She's off now. She left. Yeah, here we go. I think I brought this one up before. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Well, don't post anything too risque there, Junior, and they won't block it. I've got basic moderation on mine, so it depends sometimes on what you say. I don't moderate my own, but that could be part of it. Let's see. There's a lot of And Junior, you are clearly number one chatter tonight. Let's see. I think that's still the case, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like it. Okay, let's see. Nick is way too grifty. I put that one up. Let's see. Megyn ruined herself. Yeah, so people are ticked at Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly is taking some version of a hit. It's kind of like the Ben Shapiro effect. People were saying, "Oh, he lost 30,000 subscribers," and you think, yeah, but is that really moving the needle when you've got tens of millions of people? And he's got 1 million people giving him whatever it is, $20 a month or $10 a month for, or 10 million people giving him $10 a month, or I forget the numbers. He's making, it's a 9-figure company. The Daily Wire is there. It's not really moving the needle, but doesn't look great for him. You see that softy, overly emotional Dan Bongino is tweeting out Mark Levin constantly. That says all we need to know about the weakling quitter Danny Boy. Oh, Junior is ticked off at Dan Bongino. Holy moly. Okay. All right. I don't take quite that hard of a stance on Dan Bongino. I think he should probably stay away from Mark Levin. I mean, I don't want to say stay away from him. I think they're friends. They've known each other for a long time. That's fine, I guess. But he needs to be he needs to be having conversations with Mark Levin. I think he looks up to Mark Levin, which is why he would never do it. But he deserves credit. If he doesn't come out and say this is not helping anybody, I'm going to give him the same treatment that I've given Megyn Kelly. I haven't paid attention to that, so we'll get to Dan Bongino. Now, about him being a quitter, yeah, I think a lot of people are ticked off that he left after less than a year. That's a bummer. I think, and again, it's speculation. I listened to part of his interview today. He didn't get into great detail about why he left, and at least the part that I watched. I haven't watched his full interview. I watched like 30 minutes of it or something. And here's the thing. I think that he got into that job. He thought he was going to be able to do what he was asked to do. And he got in there and just started hitting brick wall after brick wall. He found out that the system is rotten, and he was probably looking for the escape hatch as quick as he could. And the only reason he didn't stay for a full year is because he didn't want to stay for a full year. He's basically going to come back and hopefully reveal some of the rot, although I don't think it's going to be what most people would hope, because he is going to be bound by confidentiality, by classification status, all the information that he's got. He can't just go ahead and spill it to the public. But yeah, he's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So I get why you're ticked off at him. And I have not seen that he's been reposting Mark Levin, but he probably ought to stay away from that because that ain't going to help him at this point. Let's see. Crazy Candy's pod numbers are going down faster than Tucker worked on CNN and grew up in Washington, D.C. That's who he is. Yeah, there you go. I think that's exactly right. I think that he played the part, putting on a flannel shirt and a vest and saying you like to hunt pheasants doesn't necessarily make you a man of the people. That's kind of the role he was playing, but he still kind of acts like a DC elite, to be honest. And this is coming from a guy who enjoyed his pithy comments and all of that when he was taking it to the left. It was fun. It was really fun. But that's past performance is not a guarantee of future success. And he's been a bit of a disappointment. Let's see. Is only right half the time and pissed off. He is 80. Trump is only right half the time. He will make us proud and pissed off. He is 80, so his judgment will be clouded by advanced stage. I disagree with that. I do disagree with that, Junior. I think that we can criticize and we should criticize where he's fallen short, and he's fallen short. The number of deportations, it hasn't been as high as we want. Now, granted, we have to take into account the self-deportations, which has been over 1 million people. Some estimates are over 2 million. So a lot of folks have left just self-deported because they don't want to get locked into the system or tracked by the system. So when they sneak back across the border under a Democrat, then they'll pass with little issue. If they've got data in the system, the chances are they're probably going to get deported. But I don't think he's right only half the time. I think he's done a lot more good than he has bad, and I think he came in with I don't want to say a singular focus, but his focus was pretty ironclad. We elected him for the border, for the economy, and to get us out of foreign wars, and he has done that. Let's see. I'm going to go down to the bottom. Don Road Duck. Yes, this is what I agree with. We need to control our hemisphere. Absolutely. Let's see. Pull out the aid. All countries, and they need to start paying us for patrolling the seas, because this was really turned into. Let's be real. But should we? Here would be my question to you, Niles. Yes, pull out foreign aid. I agree with that. Even to Israel, I'm a supporter. I support Israel. That doesn't mean that I think that everything that they do is the right thing. That's look, let's be honest. That's just the way it is. It's a country. It's a foreign country. They're not going to do everything right. But do I support Israel? Yes. Do I think that Israel runs the world? No. I don't see any solid evidence of that. But our aid does not help them. It actually hurts them. It hurts them in the public sphere. It hurts them politically. It hurts them in a lot of different ways, and they can handle it themselves. Even people like Ben Shapiro have come out and saying, I think that we should stop supporting them for that very reason, and I agree with Ben Shapiro on that one. But do I think that we need to be the world's police? I don't think we need to be, and I think that's something else we need to pull away from, you know? We are the new Roman Empire. Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of agree with that. Yeah, I agree that we are, but I'm just saying, do I think that's right? Let's see. Hell yeah, we do. Okay. All right. I mean, that. I respect your opinion. I just disagree. I don't think that helps us. It's because of the regime change thing that's become the norm for our military ops. Is we go into a place and we risk our blood and treasure, our service members and our tax dollars to do a regime change that turns into a civil war and destabilizes a whole region. I don't think that's an appropriate way for us to handle ourselves, in my opinion. Is going to go even harder than Trump? No, I don't. No, I don't think he can. This is the thing. Trump, I know you said he's advanced stage. He's 80. He is not slow. He is on it. And the pace that he keeps, even everybody in his staff, I know some people are saying it for cursory reasons, or they're saying it because that's what they're supposed to say. But almost everybody, well, not almost, everybody who works for him says the guy's pace is ridiculous. I think he's unpredictable. I don't think J.D. Vance is all that unpredictable because he's a political monster at the end of the day, I think. And so do I think he's going to go as hard as Trump on these things? No, I don't think so. I don't think J.D. Vance can keep up Trump's pace. I don't think J.D. Vance is, at least I haven't seen evidence of this, that he's the negotiator that Trump is. I don't think that the world stage is going to see him as an unpredictable entity. I think, as an unpredictable leader, I think they're going to see him be what I believe he at his core is, which is a politician. And politicians are pretty predictable. Yeah, now our side of the world, see, here's the thing. I agree, Niles, our side of the world. So we're talking about our hemisphere. Yeah, I believe we have to project in our hemisphere. But we've also said that this is a brilliant thing of the bombing of the Iranian nuclear facility. Trump showed there that on relatively short notice, I don't know how long that was in that planning process was, but he says it doesn't matter where you are in this world, we can reach out and touch you if we have to. But does that mean that we need to have, all these military bases all over the world and, having soldiers getting, killed in places where they probably don't need to be in the first place? That's where I teeter on it. Let's see. Yeah, that's true. And again, this comes back to the cost of the Defense Department. When he says 1.5 trillion, it's like, dude, I know, I get it. You're saying that we are getting enough money to pay down the debt, but where's the progress? Where's that number dropping? And it's not at this point. So, yeah, you want to spend more money? Show it to me. Show me where you're getting it from, other than taxing the bejesus out of us. You know what I mean? Iran state media is using Tucker stuff and playing it to their people. Like currently, it's sick how this dude is being used, and he don't even see it. Let's see. What do you mean? Let's see. Iran state media is using Tucker stuff and playing it to their people. Like currently, it's sick how this dude is being used. Yeah. I played the clip just a little while ago of Iranian state media playing his content. Sorry, I didn't mean to spam. No, you're good, man. You're good. Let's see. Megyn is a MS Justice. Megyn is a follower. You have Megyn. I have her all wrong. She talks out both sides of her mouth. We need to save TPUSA from her and Tucker. It's gross. I feel like I kind of said that, didn't I? I don't know that I think that she talks out both sides of her mouth. I think that I see where you're coming from. That she certainly presents herself that way. Let me say that. I think that she, in this instance with Candace Owens, I think she's just holding back so much. That's what's making people mad. Give us honest truth. Like, give us your honest perception of what's going on here. And she brushes it off as if it's not a big deal. And it's been filling the internet with what's going on in the world. And she says, no, I'm okay with what she's doing. What, misleading millions of people? Like, you're seriously okay with that? That's what kind of chaps my backside. It's the lying. Call out liars. If you're going to say that you're some honest arbiter of truth and whatever, prove it. Prove it to me. Here's a prime example. You got millions of people that are following this lady. We have a political movement, a successful political movement that's being divided, and you got nothing to say about that? Yeah, but the people from Israel were mean to me. Okay, grow up, lady. Jared, the one thing I'm upset with Trump about is him letting 1 million foreigners use the H-1B visas to take American jobs, school positions, and home. Yeah, it's one place where he slipped up. Well, the 600,000 Chinese. So, I know that's not a fan of that. So, yeah, I get that. I get that one. So, let me put it this way. Here's the thing. If we get the best and brightest from other places, the H-1Bs, that's a different story. But if we're talking about student visas, the 600,000 Chinese that he's allowed to come in and train in our universities, that I don't like that, because these people are going to go back to, if they're going back to China or whatever it happens to be. I don't know all the stipulations around that one. I'm not a fan of training our adversaries in our universities, giving them a good education. But if they're staying here, if assimilation is part of this, citizenship becomes part of this, I think the number is just too massive. I just think it's too massive. There's other things to consider. When I think about the foreigners that come here and go to school, a lot of them come here and they want to stay here. And we get some brilliant people. We get, doctors from India and from Japan and China and, all over the world. There's brain drain that goes on around the globe. And those people come here and they stay here. I've worked with some nonprofits who train overseas. They train physicians in particular. And they talk about this being a legit problem. Now, I don't care about China. I don't care about the brain drain for China. China can go take a long walk off a short pier for all I care. But when you look at a lot of African countries and South American countries, there's a brain drain because we say, hey, come here to America. We're going to train you. And you can take those skills back to your country. And then they end up staying here. They end up getting citizenship and what have you. And that I've got a problem with. Like, no, that wasn't the agreement. If you want to come here and get trained in the medical field or whatever it happens to be, I don't necessarily have beef with that as long as you go back to your country. Let's see. My friends are color. What friends are calling her an anti-Semite? They want her to call out the garbage Candace is spewing. What friends of hers are calling her anti-Semite? She has mentioned it. She talked about private text messages that she had gotten. This is Megyn Kelly, by the way, for anybody that's looking now that wasn't on before. So she had said that she was receiving text messages from her friends, people that she thought she was close to, who were making those allegations against her. I know Mark Levin has done it, and granted, she wasn't friends with Mark Levin. My understanding of some recent posts that I've seen, she wasn't friends with Mark Levin, but she was a previous admirer of Mark Levin, and yet Mark Levin has come out and absolutely assaulted her on social media. So she just said, that's just from her mouth. She's had friends come out and say that, I'm so disappointed with you, anti-Semite, anti-Semite. That's what it is. From her own mouth. Let's see. I'll be the first to go for my country, bro. There you go, man. We have to grow that also, which is another positive of Trump. Trump has been, look, he came in with one of his big focuses was, how do we grow this economy? Yeah, we're not just going to save our way out of it. We also have to grow out of it. But I think we have to do both. Let's see. This shows it was Tucker that said that. It's hard listening to you. Ugh. I want to know who told Megyn she's an anti-Semite. Her and Tucker both say, shut up, you're not, you can, MAGA, don't cancel, get a grip. Let's see. Here, let me see if I can find the clip for you. We'll find the clip. Megyn Kelly. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, I might have to find it another one. I'm going to sit here and live search for it. Let's see. We are pissed at Megyn for not calling out Cantifa. We are pissed at Megyn for not calling out Cantifa spewing hate amongst Erica and TPUSA. Yeah, we're on the same page on that one, Miss Justice. 200%. She is saying that this is, look, this is, let me go back and restate my point so that I'm very clear and you kind of understand where I'm coming from. So yes, we are pissed at Megyn for not calling out Cantifa or, Candace Owens directly, saying that because she played dumb when asked if Candace had ever had, well, when she was told, let me go back. When Ben Shapiro said Candace Owens implied that Erica Kirk was involved in the assassination of her husband, Megyn played dumb and said she said that. She said that. Everybody at that point had heard her say that, had heard her allude to that, to signal towards that. And it was then the crafty way that Candace Owens does it. That's what we all had seen. You saw it. I saw it. We all saw it. And Megyn played dumb and said, she did that? Really? She actually did that? We wanted her to call out that. So after she left that interview with Ben Shapiro, it would have been easy for her to go online or to have her assistant or researcher go online and say, hey, what's the, what's the scuttlebutt on this? Show me the clips. Show me the clips. So that's what she did. She also, in the midst of the Israel-Gaza conflict or the Israel-Hamas conflict, she was kind of on that Piers Morgan side who said, well, now I think it's enough. It's been enough. It's been long enough. And so it was playing that temperance or saying, it's not about finishing it till it's done, because she started off strong. Israel, go for it. Then she later on said, okay, this is enough. It's been enough. This has gone on too long. And she actually took a relatively moderate position, but she started getting attacked by Israel. So this is kind of her. It was like what made her take a stand, and not in a positive way, I don't think, because she was saying, everybody's attacking me, so now I'm just going to, for spite, I'm going to come back and not denounce anything or anybody. And I'm not saying that's what she did. I'm just saying that's the way that it came across to me, and I think to a lot of other people. But I mean, that's so it's two things. It's not just one. I hope I made that clear. That's who Kirk family and Charlie's legacy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep, she did. Okay, so here's the thing. Generally, I tried to do. I wish I could say I was predictable, but I have a couple of jobs, Niles. I run a small business. I have some contract work with some nonprofits and all that sort of stuff. So I wish that I had a more consistent schedule. I try to start at 6:30. That's my goal. And usually Monday is usually it's wishy-washy. Tuesday, I try to do it on Tuesday evenings. I definitely do it on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So those are the gimmies. Just plan on 6:30. But like I say, I run a business, so every now and then it's later. And I'm trying so hard to become predictable, but I'm doing it poorly at best, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to correct that. So, but no, I appreciate it. The best thing to do, Niles, is just make sure that you're subscribed, that you hit the notification bell, and check in every now and then, because I want everybody on the live streams. I crave the comments. I love the option to sit down and talk to everybody. It's what I enjoy more than just about any part of this, because I love getting your all's opinions. But oh yeah, and I'm Eastern time, so thank you for that, Junior. He's in Seattle. Boy, you're in some dangerous territory out there. I forgot you were in Seattle, Junior. Junior's been watching me since the beginning. He's been with this show for a long time. He's been a great follower here. But anyway, so that's usually the schedule that I go with. I wish I had more predictability. There's times where I'll do it at 8 o'clock at night. I try to get the content out there as much as I can. Let's see. And the more subscribers we get, by the way, guys, the more subscribers we get, the closer I get to doing this full time. And when that happens, I will tell you exactly when I'm doing it, and I will do it 6 days a week. Let's see. I loved devoted him to oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I turn on motivation, brother. I pile your stream. All right, there you go. There we go. Guys, okay. Wow, I went for an hour and a half tonight. I normally try to keep it to an hour too, but we train to standard, not to time around here. This is what we do. And I just appreciate you guys hanging in here with me. I hope I didn't miss anybody. But we do have, by the way, depends on the time, depends on the time, depends on the day, depends on what's going on in the world. But when we get a lot of people in the chat, it's a blast. We have some great subscribers. I have one of the best chats on the internet, bar none. Great people who just love this country. We're going to disagree on stuff, and you know what? That's okay. There you go. Perfect, Niles. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Yeah, we've got a great crew here. We're building a community. Patriots, that's what we're looking for. Patriots who love this country. We are going to disagree on stuff, but when it comes to people like Candace, or it comes to people like Nick Fuentes, or it comes to these other individuals, they're going to say some stuff right, but we have to understand the motives behind people, and we just want to make sure that it is keeping with a good moral framework for this country, that it has this country's best interests at heart, and the citizens of this country who we love so dearly. It's going to do the most good for them. So that's what we're trying to do. All right, guys, you all are great. I'm going to call it quits for tonight. If you're seeing this after the fact, be sure to hit that subscribe button, that like button, and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is released. God bless you. God bless America. We'll be back tomorrow, 6:30. That's the plan. 6:30 tomorrow night, guys. God bless you, and I'll see you then. Have a great evening. Let's see. It can be fun to disagree. I had a last-minute comment here. There you go, Junior. It can be fun to disagree sometimes. It keeps life spicy. That's it. I don't even agree with my wife all the time. I mean, come on. We got to live in this country together, right? There you go. All right. God bless you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.